Hey there folks, and welcome back to the Icenia campaign. Last time, we set about setting up the colony here of Manawia, which is the best we can do, given that these locations are a little too far away currently from our population, and we had some trouble figuring out why that was the case. In fact, let's look at this again here now that I am back here in the series. So this one being too far away, sure. It's only apparently... I think the way it works is it needs to be within 2 sea tiles of one of your territories. So we've got 1 sea tile, 2 sea tiles, and we own Manawia. But this one is within 2 sea tiles of all of these locations, so I think that's the way it's calculated. Now, if we take a look at this one here, so Manawia doesn't work, doesn't have 8 pop, sure. Our 2 8 pop locations are Gabracentum and Colunium. Now, Gabracentum has 8 pop, and Colunium has 8 pop, and the issue was they're not the dominant culture. Are we sure about that here in Gabracentum? Okay, actually, we are pretty sure about that. It's just 1 Iceni only, and then Colunium is the same. Okay, so actually, fair enough, I suppose. There aren't really that many Iceni up here, but both these locations have the cultural assimilation policy chugging away, so that's fine. Speaking of that, what's our cultural situation in general? Now, the Iceni culture has really established itself here in our heartland, which is great to see. And the main reason for this is all of these tiny settlements with only a couple population, after something like 30, 40 years of being underneath the cultural assimilation policy, this is what it leads to. This is the dividend. Yes, we've been missing out on that number of years of slightly boosted income or some other modifier, slightly more manpower. But look at our series. Like we're in episode 30. Look at how we've gotten to this point. Have we ever had a serious manpower shortage or a serious money shortage? Not in wartime. Not really, right? I play so carefully and I plan out so much. I've avoided those problems. What we have had routinely is a population that, because I've just refused to do the cultural integration mechanics for other people of my culture group, we've constantly been not in a state of having our population be Iceni. But look at this. Here is what it's led to through our lifestyle of using the cultural assimilation policy the way that we have. So that being said, let's take a look actually at our notifications here as we approach 500 ADC. It's going to be kind of a landmark year. I don't know if there's a word for it, but it's like the half centennial of the Iceni playthrough. So we have this disloyal character here, Britta Wenda Kalata, who's the head of the Kalatii family. Her disloyalty is based on power base, stubbornness, purged kin, even though all of her other family members and people in her house have forgiven the purged kin, or I guess the purged kin modifier just isn't enough to push them all over the edge. Her power base problem is just because she's a family head, but she's also fairly old, so she may very well die pretty soon and take her power base with her. Who's the successor in the Kalatii family? If I take a look at that, why do I never find these tabs immediately? It's not super clear. Probably one of her contemporaries would be the successor. I don't think it tells you anywhere how that works. Ah, well, that's fine. Meanwhile, bad research ratio. This is to be expected, although we are up to 53% of our research amount, which is much, much better than when we were a tribe and we had like 1%. So our research rate is really improving as we convert people into citizens and nobles, especially here in Cantiacia and Londinium and Aurornum, and we keep our nobles and whatnot pleased and happy. Now, I could actually build academies into Aurornum, because we do have a couple nobles who live down here. And let me actually look here. How many nobles are we supposed to have? We want to have 15% because it's a city. But if we added some academies, like we are doing in Londinium, that would boost up our ratio. We really want to basically sort of summon all of our nobility in the entire nation into our capital city, and maybe a bit more broadly, our capital province. I've talked last episode about the advantages of that method of dealing with nobles. because nobles are really your main research production center. If we actually look here in Londinium, for example, which has actually hold on, maybe a better example: 5 nobles. Actually, no, let's look in Londinium because it has the academies. 4 nobles, 3 citizens. So 4 nobles are producing 2 research points, just about, and 3 citizens, a similar number to 4, maybe just a slight bit less, is producing something like a fourth of the amount of research points. So each noble is about 4 citizens worth of research production. Of course, they don't produce manpower, but citizens aren't as good at producing manpower as freemen. So citizens are basically kind of like, okay, so here's the way you think of it here. Nobles are how you produce your research points most efficiently. Freemen are how you produce your manpower most efficiently, and they kind of produce tax a little okay. Tribesmen are basically like scuffed versions of freemen. They're a little worse than freemen, especially now that we're not a tribe anymore. So we just want to convert tribesmen into freemen. Slaves only produce tax, but they produce tax the most efficiently. So in theory, the way to think about this: nobles are your pure research population. Slaves are your pure tax population. Freemen are pure in the middle of, or rather, freemen are the pure manpower population with a bit of tax also. And citizens are hybrid nobles and freemen. They don't produce tax, but they produce a little bit of manpower and a little bit of research. But because you can only have so much nobility, a lot of your research ends up being produced by citizens. So it's not a pure kind of like uncompromised, every type of population is exactly perfectly ratioed. And it shouldn't be, right? This is a simulation of real life, and the way these populations work is meant to kind of be a kind of representation of what they mean to a nation in this time period. So ideally, as a civilized nation, as a monarchy, we want to have a large number or a small number of very happy and productive nobles and citizens. And we're going to want to concentrate that, especially in our capital province, because they're going to be very safe. These populations are extremely valuable, and we're in serious trouble if, for example, Londinium were sacked by an enemy army, and even 1 or 2 citizens or nobles were enslaved or killed. Now, this is part of the meta of this game's warfare that we haven't really seen that much yet, but one of the goals of doing basically griefing, essentially, to use a multiplayer game term, when you go in and you ravage land, say you wanted to invade Rome as a barbarian nation, one of your goals in attacking the Roman core isn't just to make money off of sacking these cities, it's to kill and enslave their nobility and their citizens to take away their research production points. This is maybe more relevant for a multiplayer environment where people are actually competing in this more direct way, but that's one of the things you can do against a nation that is way more advanced than you, is just remove their research production capacity by, or not capacity, but their research production ability by killing and enslaving their upper class people. Now, in our nation, our capital region is in the corner of where our borders are, and our borders are very safe. But it's not in the corner if we're ever in a conflict with anyone on the mainland. We keep forgetting, but Gaul is right here, right? So it's important to keep our relations topped off. How they feel about me now. Aggressive expansion is finally starting to get under control here. That's good to see after my extremely aggressive northern wars that I did in quick succession. I may want to get involved. Also, Marinia is actually doing pretty well here. Menapia is split. Actually, these are both split. This is kind of a strange arrangement. We could get involved and start to actually take land in Gaul for just to kind of have a project to use our military for. We have a large enough levy now, especially with our maximum reached. But before we do that, I think we could get around to that, but that's not a huge priority. Again, I'm looking for resources, doing the real kind of like British roleplay here. And I do think those precious metals on Hibernia are calling my name. And but for that, I'd probably want to take that directly. This is still not going to be done until we control this uncolonized land. Demnonii will just take a really long time. I think if we want to go to war and start to colonize Hibernia, we're going to have to just fabricate the claims ourselves. And I think either last episode or in the post-recorded episode, I did a lot of discussion on where I'd want to target in Hibernia to do my invasion. What would be a really natural target? I think waiting until Novante is able to be colonized, it does make it a little easier to come over, but I have my big navy. I can afford to just naval invade Hibernia. Who's going to be a solid target here? So actually these guys are fighting a war against a revolt. Okay. These are not like, yeah, these guys are not in like good alliances. Okay, so okay, you're allied with Dorinia. Okay, so that's why you're involved. So this is the revolt of Voluntia, and then Dorinia is allied with Voluntia. Okay, so these guys would be a softer target because they're preoccupied with that revolt. They'd probably have to go siege down. I don't know how when this war started here. Can I see that somewhere? Possibly I can see that somewhere. If I went over there, Hibernia Septentrio Nalis is a good starting location for sure. So I could justify on these guys. Dorinia would be a good target because, well, actually, hold on. But then I have to think about who do I want to make my vassal, right? I just had this big discussion before about wanting a vassal with a port. And since I can't build in my vassal's territory, or I take one of the territories of myself in the war, I build the port there myself, and then I give it to the vassal that I create from the war. In which case, I could decide where I want the port, which is a bit more appealing to me. What would be a good location for a port over here? Well, if there's going to be a port in Manawa, I'm going to hold off on making any decisions on this. I'm not really like in a rush to take over Hibernia. Again, I'm not going to get Perfidious Albion, the achievement. I'm not rushing for it. Let's just resume. Been sitting around just kind of contemplating for this whole episode. But I'm not going to actually go into Hibernia anytime soon. No need to make plans ahead of when I need to. I'm still just waiting around for political influence. I should finish my transition. I'm technically not finished until I get my military ideas set up. Something we could also look at is there any reason to proclaim one of these other types of monarchies? Because we start off as an autocratic monarchy, which is the absolute power hereditary, allegedly hereditary version. I don't know what's going on here, but sure. Maybe after a generation it'll start becoming hereditary. Maybe Keltrim's children will get extra hair benefit. I don't know. Hair benefit? Air benefit? Yeah. So our other options are plutocratic monarchy, which would... let's see here. Civic ideas and religious idea, which, I mean, what types of ideas we have doesn't make a huge difference to me. But the modifiers we get here. So this is a slave output, which is handy, given a lot of our tax is coming from slaves. And we've set up a build here that is very slavery-centric with our shifting of slaves around and extracting lots of resources. So we give us one trade route, 10% trade. I don't know if that's in total commerce or if that's, what's it called, exporting and importing. I think that's just commerce, which is a good option. So plutocratic is a really strong alternative. Aristocratic is tyranny, freeman happiness, or wait, hold on. Citizen happiness, freeman output? Is that what that icon is? I'm not entirely sure. Stratocratic is the military-themed one. That's war... Is that aggressive expansion? No. I don't know what that icon means. Freeman productivity. I'm not okay. I wish I could see what these actual things meant in a tooltip, but oh well. And then theocratic is probably the least good for us because we're not going to be dealing with a population that we need to convert. Everyone around here is druidic, so no big deal there. I think autocratic is fine for us. It's not a bad option for our kind of current arrangement. So I'm not going to worry too much about shifting away to plutocratic, even though plutocratic would be fine too. All right, Manawa is done. Can I sell this now to Brigantia? They should like me a little better because of my efforts to improve relations with them. Sell them territory. Manawia. No, they still wouldn't do it. Really? Okay. How much diplomatic reputation do I need to have with you for this to be fine? I mean, I'm already improving relations. How far along is that? Not that far along, I suppose. I suppose I did just start that recently. And as these modifiers start to decline, we're going to get much better relations with them. I did conquer them recently, to be fair. I shouldn't forget that. I'm just going to hold off and just let that build up. It's fine if I hold Manawa for now. I'm not, like, losing anything by doing this. I guess I could cheekily set up a colony while I hold it. What's the population here? It's actually Manawian, an entirely new population. Actually, it's technically a Hibernian population. Or, I mean, not Hibernian. Gaelic. Yeah, because we're at the Brittani culture group, and the Gaelic culture group lives on Hibernia. So we actually have our first instance of a non-Brittani culture group in our nation. Very interesting. Let's take a look at that in here. Manawan. Oh. Wait. No room for settlers. Is that the issue? There's absolutely room for settlers. What's the problem? It says if it's not dominant. 3 out of 4 isn't dominant? Do I need more Manawians over here? I don't really believe that. That doesn't seem right to me. I guess maybe 3 out of 4 isn't dominant. I thought that was the cutoff was over half or over 3/4. I guess I don't know what that means technically. I wish this game would tell me what dominant culture actually means, numbers-wise. Oh well. Or also in Londinium, we now... Actually, was this from getting another population amount? Yeah, another +1 from Pops. Wow, okay, so this was... I thought this was this thing, but actually it's an unrelated increase. Okay, so now we can do some more trading. What do we want here in Kantiakia? Could get earthenware for Freeman output. Freeman output actually could be quite handy, although is this an internal trade? No, it's with Carthage. That's fine. My good friend in the Mediterranean, Carthage, who is my good friend in an aspirational sense. My future good friend, Carthage. What else can we get here? We could get iron, as legions may be in our future. But, I mean, it is just heavy infantry discipline, although that is quite handy for our heavy infantry-themed levies. Ooh. You technically have quote-unquote Caledonian. Look, owning Manawia is just giving me the 4 pops, like just Manawia, because it's the 4 pop minimum. Kind of nice, actually, although I'm not going to be raising this levy anytime soon. Anyways, back to this. Let's see here. What do we have access to? Very little, actually. People are not pleased with me. Although the opinion modifier in this this chart is now starting to really go away. We're almost back to a good state, aggressive expansion-wise. Got pretty high up there recently, but looks fine. Since we do have another one of these, what's it called? Infrastructure spending things kind of being worked on here. Can I see that? I think that's what that was from last episode. Maybe I can plan to get another pair of resources for a bonus. Wine would give me Freeman. It'd give me 8% Freeman happiness in my capital region, which is handy, and -5 Legion maintenance once I have both. Or something else instead. Could get fish for national Freeman happiness. Or salt for Legion maintenance cost. Already got stone going on. I feel like citizen and noble happiness is something I should not skimp out on. Like if we look at Londinium, citizens are very happy, nobles are pretty happy. Durham ornament's a little worse, but they're both... If I can boost up the happiness of my nobles and citizens in Kantiakia, that could be handy. So the nobles and citizen options here should be considered. Although the freemen shouldn't be neglected either. There are a lot of my A lot of my manpower is coming from them, but I don't really need more manpower, right? It's probably okay if the freedmen are a little unhappy. Or, like, not full... I mean, they're above 50%, which is the threshold I care about. So, it should be fine. Let's see. Noble happiness. Any chance Carthage will give me these dies also? It'll be their capital bonus. Carthage is the die monopolist right now. Dies are also really valuable, so that helps too. Or something that I'm likelier to get another thing from. What about you? Nope, you're not going to give that up. Nope. It may be a lost cause. I don't really think there's any other really useful noble or citizen trade goods I can get here. Or I could get horses, too. I don't have heavy cav in my levy, though, so let's not worry about that. I mean, I could just get wine. I mean, 8% freeman happiness in Kantiakia is nice, and Legion maintenance cost will be useful someday. And I could immediately be able to be assured of the extra resource from picking that. National slave happiness could be useful, although my slaves are never going to be happy anywhere because they're slaves, so I'm not sure how useful this would really be. But if I got 2 sets of olives, this would be, if I got this, it would be 16% more slave happiness in Kantiakia, because it'd be 2 sets of 4%, and then also national 8%. But then again, slaves aren't going to be happy anywhere because they're slaves, so shouldn't really worry about that, I feel. Actually, hold on. If I got earthenware, I already have a set of earthenware in Kantiakia. So this is a guaranteed immediate surplus bonus. So more citizen happiness in Kantiakia, 4% more. And then also 3% freeman output nationally. That could actually be quite good. So if we take a look here, 57 manpower nationally right now. If I grab this from Carthage, 57. Okay, this may not be updated, but it will add in, you know, those little modifiers here or there. Plus, freemen also produce money, so mainly though it's to get the extra citizen happiness and to use up the slot, so that's fine. That'll have to do. I am reaching the kind of extent of the trade capacity of this part of the world. Carthage is basically the furthest away nation that I'm trading with, and really kind of the long-term goal. Also, Rome is already in Greece. Oh, yikes. That's a little spooky. The long-term goal is to actually break into the extremely lucrative Eastern trade market by establishing some sort of colony in the Mediterranean. I think I talked about this before, but that is my long-term goal here. We are basically trapped trading with the stinky Germans and the stinky Gauls, while the perfumed, luxurious trade over here in the East is just begging for Pretonian involvement. So my British Empire roleplay really is off the charts in this episode. Notice we finished the Academy. Very good. That's going to boost noble happiness or productivity. Wait, that's the port. Noble happiness and the desired ratio. That's handy. Let's view the pop. Yeah, now we're up to 22%. So we're improving the small ratio that we had for the number of nobles we had there. Very good. We spent so much of this episode paused. I'm sorry about that, but I feel like I don't want to speed things along when I'm not sort of in the driver's seat, when I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, now 59 after 57, and the big effect is that maximum change. That's like, that was something like 1,500 more maximum just from that one output change. And that's the thing about output, is output doesn't always directly affect the actual output that much, but things that are derived from the output, like manpower maximum, can have these insane, enormous, like, logarithmic effects that you can't really predict sometimes. That's been my experience, at least. So, pleased to see that. That's a nice, big, fat levy when we can raise that whole thing. Very exciting. We have our free slot ready to go. And we can finally get our slave output. So let's take a look at our treasury before we pick that. 18.47. And now we can grab Morale of armies. This one, reinforcing speed, army morale recovery. I think it's tough to say. Also, permanent shipyards. I said before I'd probably go for this once I was a monarchy, and then I just went for it early, and then I built my navy early. But the thing with picking this option now that we do have our navy, if we lose a bunch of ships in some sort of big naval battle, we may be in trouble anyways, but it might still be better to pick this option, since we are investing into having a navy at all. Because this bonus is pretty substantial. This is a very substantial naval bonus if we ever want to be in a naval arms race. But then, morale of army is always really good. And we may not always have overwhelming numerical superiority. But then again, reinforcement speed is really good for our large levy size. I said at the very start of the game when I picked these ideas for the first time that the ordered retreat option scales better with a larger nation, and we're now essentially in that place. We're a larger nation now. We really have come a long way, actually. I'm proud of us all for making it here, even though I'm the only one playing the game. Thanks for sticking around this long, if you have. I appreciate it. Army morale recovery is also probably better in the long run for a larger army. I think the big distinction is morale of army +5 is better on a tactical level for any given battle and any given army. But this is better on the strategic level for having many armies running around, getting these bonuses all the time. And we're getting into the place of transitioning to a many-army style military, especially now that legions are in our future. That being said, I did decide to go for ships, and this is something that I can really eke out a kind of advantage in, especially because we don't have access to the right traditions, or what's it called? Military traditions. To get access to heavier ships as a Celtic Britannic nation. That's going to be found in things like the Punic, or not the Punic actually, where was it? That's like the Roman traditions, for example. Where's the ship one? Is it Italic? Actually, hold on, where was it actually? Or was it a technology? Let me check in the naval menu. I need the right military tradition. Okay, I don't know offhand. I thought it was a military tradition. But either way, I'm not going to get access to it for a long time. So, because I don't have access to these strongest ships, having more medium-sized ships is kind of the way I get around it if I want to dominate the seas, which I do want to do, as I am playing on the Isles, so having a strong navy is basically necessary, just like in real history. This is how people on an island assert their dominance in the world, is by having naval power. So I think we are going to go for it. We're committing to this very long-term, ambitious, kind of like forward-thinking mindset about our future world's military impact levels with the Navy there. All right, let's resume. When will you purchase this territory? Still no. Still only +4 dip rep. This is going to be a very long wait, but I'm not going to assign a governor to Manawia. It's going to be too much of a hassle to deal with that, so... Yeesh. Alright. We have ourselves another thing in Kantiakia? Or do we not? The thing finished. Where's my slot? Or was it from that? Wait, our population decreased? What? +1 from pop, not +2. What's the issue? Where did the population decrease? Okay, I don't know exactly what happened there, but we lost one of our... Okay, so what happened is we gained the slot from finishing the investment, but then we lost a slot from our population decreasing a little bit in the province. I don't think it was in the cities. I think it was population out here. Got moved around somehow. I don't know what's going on. It's a big mystery, honestly. Anyways, we are working on this one here, aggressive expansion. Very good. We could start to build some shrines, potentially. That could be an interesting thing to do. Let's build a shrine. That's not... Where's the... Here it is. Okay, that's not going to work, though, because all the various gods that we worship already have holy sites. So, costs political influence, of course, and also costs some money. But also, I forgot to look. But yes, that change to the Freeman output did affect... What? Now we have +2 from Pops again. What's going on with Kantiakia's population? But I'll finish saying what I was saying. That change to output did lead to like a +1 gold bonus from that, so that's pretty substantial. Speaking of change from output, let's do some more of that, please. Oh, now there's 2 spices available. You're kidding me. Come on, man. Couldn't have had this a few months ago. Carthage finally is ready to give me all their spice. It's a very spicy arrangement here. Okay, what am I going to drop to make room for 2 sets of spices? I mean, plus 0.45 per month times 2. That's substantial, even for the less valuable import. And citizen output plus 6% nationally. That's pretty big. And plus 8% citizen happiness in Kantiakia. That's pretty handy, even though my citizens are already pretty happy. So, let's see here. Anything else I'd get instead of this? Probably not in Kantiakia. I like to have the citizen happiness in Kantiakia. I could probably change the rights of the Icenia citizens a little bit to even... I'd have more room to do stuff like that with higher happiness. What do I want to give up here? I guess I could give up base metals, right? Light infantry are a portion of my army, aren't they? Yeah, they're a pretty substantial portion. But the extra offense bonus, is it really better than local citizen happiness? I think because I'm no longer in a constant fight for expansion locally, having the light infantry bonus isn't as valuable as the research bonuses from happier citizens and more productive citizens in my capital region. And actually the productive part is everywhere. Plus spices are more valuable, so I think I will cancel one of the base metal options. I'll cancel the one from not Carthage to avoid offending Carthage. Although I don't think that would really make a difference at all. It might be better to try and... I mean, look at my trade situation. I'm very trade dependent on Carthage, so it may not matter how much I'll just cancel it from them. Or I'll lose the infantry offense bonus, but if I'm in a fight where 10% light infantry offense is the deciding factor, I've already lost by choosing to be in a situation where I have to do that fight. So that's the way you think of it. Let's get rid of that. And Carthage, just pour your spices into my waiting mouth. Yum, yum, yum. That was a cursed comment right there. All right, so we have some very pleased citizenry here in our capital region. 100% happiness in Londinium and 89% in Durawernum. What's the reason for this difference? Basically nothing. Probably just because it's the capital. Can we exploit this somehow? The question that this game allows you to ask. I do appreciate, by the way, that in this game, you can really be quite an evil person just through your decision making with your cultural laws and whatnot. Okay, so here's the Icenia population. I could actually now decide to revoke the census tax exemption that I chose to get when I was a tribe, which is reducing the output of nobles and citizens. This would actually be quite a substantial change, and I think this might be worth doing. 5% less happiness for all Icenia everywhere, which includes those citizens. And it would also do more damage in the short term for the next, let's see here, 5 years? Yeah, the next 5 years. This might be a good chance to grab this while I'm at 100%, because this means that if I get more happiness bonuses, they're not wasted on my citizens. So let's go ahead and revoke the census tax exemption. The freedom from census taxes is a hated and expensive reform. Revoking it will have us face the ire of our privileged classes, but will surely help the treasury and surely help our research points. So let's take a look now at this. So 12.1, once we revoke this and we get that big output change, so 12.1, let's see what happens. Wow, someday I'll pick the option the first time. Revoke census tax exemption. All right. Now, what does it look like? Okay, this hasn't updated quite yet. Let's give it a month, and then we'll see. This is updated, though. Yeah, these guys are not pleased. Academy is done. Now we're building the ports. Very good. Incendiary slave speaks in Glewem, a hot-headed slave with a talent for oration by the name of Ari Ragris has been stirring up his fellow bondsmen in the settlement of Glewem, which is this mine location. Okay. The local authorities have so far managed to keep the situation under control, but the brazen fool continues to hold forth on the corruption and unfairness of the political system, with Donwyn Dewika receiving honorable mentions, as she probably does deserve, let's be fair. The slave population of the entire province of Demetia has by now heard of his exploits, and the city elites and slave owners are demanding immediate action to ensure the status quo is not disturbed further, and any slave rebellion is crushed before it is allowed to foment. Okay, so we could get some popularity with Donwyn. We kill a slave, which would be fine, because we're above... No, hold on, would it be fine? Yes, it would be fine, because we only need 10... Yeah, so I saw this a few episodes ago. The population required has mysteriously changed to now be different in every location. So this would be fine. It would make the slaves unhappy, but who cares how the slaves feel they're slaves? This would reduce the output, which I actually care about more, and also cost political influence, which I care about more. It would get this guy as a politician, which seems like a terrible idea. I think I remember from playing the game before that this actually can cause more trouble, because then that character has events where they like try and be an abolitionist, and well, that would be great IRL, and probably would be the right thing to do if I was trying to play this game like a moral person. Here in this slave economy themed nation, we're not going to really want to have any abolition activity right now. Meanwhile, what's this one? Lose popularity, cause all sorts of trouble, lose stability. Oh, yikes. Okay, we're just going to do this one. Round up the troublemakers and his supporters and crucify them. Absolutely horrific behavior from Donwyn, but it's got to happen if we want to have our massive wealth from our slave economy keep pouring in. I really am such a terrible person, aren't I? All right, let's take a look at our tech. 9.5. Wow, that's nice. Okay, that's better than what it was before. I actually forgot what it was before, but that is a higher number for sure. In the playback footage, I will double check how much it increased, and I'll probably say wow again. I'll go ahead and wait until the 1st of January, then we'll call this an episode. Kind of a weirdly paced episode, I'll admit, with a very slow start and then a very action-packed, well, relatively action-packed final portion. All right, that's the 1st of January, 497. Actually, some of this disloyalty is beginning to become an issue here. These are the heads of the various families. What's their issue? Oh, it's because of the happiness from the being a Kenny culture. Okay, that makes sense. Anyways, we'll check back on that next episode, and also probably start to do some military-themed planning for my Hibernian behavior, or possibly stuff in the north. Excuse me, what is my truce timer here? 98. We're a little too far away to plan the northern stuff, but we could start to do the Hibernian plans once we have the political influence. We'll check back on that next episode, but until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.